Good afternoon, and thank you for still holding. It's close to 4:30, end of the day. But I am very confident that, with the experience that we have on the stage, we will make this session insightful. I got very intrigued, at the start of the day when Mr. Lim, who's from the FinTech Association in Singapore, he spoke about a very interesting phenomena, right? He was speaking about, the success of digital banks, okay? And he said that, what is probably the fundamental reason of a lot of success of the digital banks worldwide, right? And he was referring to, few examples in the UK, in Korea, obviously in Singapore and so on. Any answers? What do you think is that fundamental difference which makes the digital banks, very different and successful? Anyone in the audience?
Cutting down on a lot of infrastructure?
Yes, that is one. Exactly, right? So the fundamental difference is around, how they look at user experience. And, our topic or our session today is primarily to focus on user experience and personalization, when it comes to, the banking industry. And I think, the panel that we have, should be able, will give us a very, very diverse kind of, insights around that topic. And, when I was preparing for this topic, I was thinking, and I was remembering, Peter Drucker, right? He's a famous marketing guru who said that the primary purpose of business is to create and retain a customer, right? And if that is the fundamental reason why businesses have to be there, and user experience and personalization, I think, aligns very well with that fundamental purpose of business, okay? So with that background, I'll probably get started, with Mr. Gowrishankar Rao, from Bank of India. Thank you, sir, for coming over here. I think, there is this big dilemma about customer experience, personalization, and data, and then, security of data, and how do you essentially go back and balance between data privacy and customer experience through all of the work that you have done, over this period of years. I think, that would be a great insight for everybody to listen to, because, in the morning we heard your MD as well, who spoke greatly about some of the phenomenal data transformation initiatives that have been started in your bank. So I would be keen to kind of, share those insights with this audience, that how do you manage that delicate balance of customer experience and data privacy?
Yeah, good evening. First of all, thank you for having me here and to be part of this August panel. To set the context of the topic, customer experience and data privacy, India is growing, and the global leaders acknowledge that the rate of economic growth is phenomenal, one of the highest for the last 3-4 years. And one of the reasons which is attributed to that is the digital economy that is going on. And as per the experts, by 2026, we'll be 1 trillion digital GDP country, which means most of the transactions go through the digital channels. And we have around 1.4 billion telecom active users, and 60% of them always demand some service which is personalized to them, and that too through digital channels. And an interesting statistics is that 50% of them, they would like to switch a bank if their services or their personalized requests are not met. So putting that into context, and Bank of India is a global bank having presence across the globe and being exposed to different regulators, it understands the value of the data privacy. customer experience means we are giving more and more channels to the customers to do their banking needs. At the same time, we need to respect and we need to take care of their data privacy concerns. These concerns are both internal and external. We know we have very strong external monitoring through RBI and Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, wherein all the commercial banks and all BFS, all these institutions, they are bound to take care of the Data Protection Act prevalent in various places. At the same time, you have to give the options. So how do you balance those two so that while you are still catering to the services of the customers, at the same time taking care of the data concerns? In Bank of India, what we do is we make a very clear distinction between what the services are to be given and how the data has to be protected. We have a dedicated CDPO whose whole and sole role is to ensure that all the activities inside the bank are properly taken care for the Data Protection Act, and the data is properly flowing from one place to another place. And the second one is we have a zero fault architecture, wherein any instrument, any hardware, software, person, process, which is accessing the data is properly controlled through either a 2FA, two-factor authorization, or through IDM, that is Identity and Access Management. So no data is accessed without proper access controls. I think the previous presentation from Force is about that, how you control your data, how you ensure that the data is not being accessed outside. So as our MD sir has spoken in the morning, we right now we are going through a IT transformation process wherein an external agency is giving us proper guidance how the processes have to be improved for a better customer experience. At the same time, the data concerns are taken due care. Thank you.
Fantastic. I think, very interesting takeaways, okay? One on that whole zero trust model of securing, your data, and you spoke about the governance mechanism with the chief data privacy officer that you spoke about. It has so happened that, in our panel will allow us to kind of look at this concept from a very different lens, okay? Next, in line, I have my panelist who comes from, a huge experience of cooperative banking which has evolved, over a period of years, okay? Very different perspective, getting connected at the grassroots with customers. So, one thing which I am keen to understand, Arvind, is for you, being part of Cosmos Bank in the business for so many years, your definition of customer service, customer experience would be very different as compared to, large nationalized banks, okay? How you as a leader have seen customer service evolving over the period of the life cycle of lifetime of Cosmos Bank with regards to customer experience, largely customer experience, personalization, we probably will look at it separately.
See, good evening all. Cosmos has been around for 119 years.
Fabulous.
This is the third or the fourth generation that we are banking with from the same family.
Absolutely.
And we have seen the transition, but as well as we are seeing that there is some continuation as well. On the same account, we would have one generation wanting to come to the branch and wanting that personal connect with our bankers with the same account which is joined. The other joint holder does not want to see the bank branch, wants nobody to contact them and have a seamless digital experience. The same account, two different ways of looking at it. So we have to cater to generations of ideology, their mindset, their aspirations, their goals, and then again cater to their loyalty. Because if we cater to all these above, then the loyalty stays, and it stays over generations. So what we do at Cosmos is, who is comfortable with wanting to come to the branch, we are not asking them to convert to digital methods. We are sticking to conventional banking. But the younger generation, we are insisting that you go the digital way. We will provide you what you want, what your business needs are, what your social needs are as far as banking with us is concerned. And with that legacy that we carry, we have to carry always a hybrid model. It's not a technological model only. It is a meet and greet and know your customer kind of model as well. And we, as a cooperative bank, or the second largest cooperative bank, we also see ourselves as one that serves not only financial needs but the social needs also. If you see a senior citizen customer, he doesn't have many people to talk to him at home. They feel at home when they come to the branch. So we cannot alienate that expectation from them, because that connects us to the grassroots. That is where Cosmos stays relevant. With time, this will change. But right now, we stay connected to our customers through interpersonal relations as well as technology. And those interpersonal skills help us understand what the real customer needs are. It helps us profile the customer and then provide technology accordingly. One example is, we are the only cooperative bank who ranks number 7 in the nation for UPI business. How we were able to achieve that is because we knew our customers. We knew that if we embark on the UPI journey early on in the process, when it was introduced, we will do good. We will be able to capture a lot of business. And we did that, and we were successful. So those interpersonal skills that we have developed with our customer base helps us refine our services, helps us define our technology and drive it accordingly.
Fantastic. I think now I'm able to relate to the point of the branch being like a home. Quite a few of the senior members in our family, I would see they would find an excuse to go to the bank. And, I would always keep on saying, why do you need to probably go back to the branch? Just for the reason that they would want to go back and check the balance. That was probably more an excuse to kind of, just look at it as an alternate home for some time. All right. Fantastic. I think next in line, I would have Mr. Saurabh Dalmia, a bit of a different perspective coming in from cash management and supply chain side. So Mr. Dalmia, traditionally supply chain finance focused on businesses, right? But personalization has a role to play in client relationships as well. So in your perspective, how do you see, customer-centric innovations helping to improve, supply chain finance in your business?
Good afternoon, Avik. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. Wonderful to be part of this panel. So, I come from Indian Bank, large nationalized bank. Our customer base is very diverse, ranging from smaller businesses to large corporates, agri, retail, etc. But supply chain finance, cash management business is quite new for the bank. We started our journey about 2 years back, and we've come a very long way in this time. I think the way we built our business, so the first thing has been that customer has been at the heart of how we have built this business. You spoke about digital banks, you spoke about experience, and I think any business, when you look at it, it's all really about the experience, right? So our approach has been to really look at end-to-end journey around cash management, supply chain finance for our customers, and see how we can create value, make it fast, make it efficient, create real value for the businesses. So I'll just give you an example. Um, when we onboard a customer, for example, we take a lot of paper, we take a lot of information, right? And that has been the whole approach with regard to compliance, with regard to having the information that we need. Now, here, given that we were building new, so we had the opportunity to look at where things stand and leverage the fantastic digital public infrastructure that exists today. A number of things for which we would take paper, we have been able to digitize, by having connectivity to various different sources, MCA, CIBIL, GST, and so on, right? So a lot of things for which we would ask for paper is now digital. The other area is that the other benefit for that is that it's valid, it's reliable data on which we can work upon. The other thing has been to really look at how we are creating the journey itself. So a lot of information that we used to take, we could take a hard look at what information we were taking. Was it relevant to what we're trying to do? And also ensure that we're not really taking the same information again and again, right? So we could really redefine or create a process which was efficient, and it's all about really the experience. I just come back to that, right? The third part, which as Arvind mentioned, given the diverse nature of our customers, we realized that while we would like to have an automated journey, but yet given the diverse nature of our customer base, we also needed to have an assisted journey. From a personalization perspective, I think there are two additional things which we have really focused upon. One is to create a platform which is modular. So we were able to work with a large number of players in the market and have a very efficient, quick to market, new capabilities that are coming up. We are able to bring those innovations to our customers fairly quickly. The last part has been to ensure that our platform, a lot of things can be personalized, parameterized, so that we don't really need to code and create the journey as our customers would want. So this has been our approach. I think we've been really successful in that. A journey which would take many weeks earlier, we've been able to bring it down to a fraction. As we move forward in our journey building this business, we are looking at things that our customers want the most, and focusing on them, building solutions to solve those problems. For example, instead of simply focusing on a large corporate, we are today looking at how do we provide credit access to these smaller MSMEs which actually need that credit in order to make the supply chain more resilient. So, that has been our journey so far.
What a fantastic articulation of digital driving, great customer experience, Mr. Dalmia. So, continuing, I'll probably continue a bit given you spoke about looking at that end-to-end process. When you look at that end-to-end process, predictive analytics obviously has a role to play, right? In your view, right, how do you see predictive analytics having an ability to anticipate customer needs in the cash management area?
Okay, so a number of different aspects when you look at cash management per se, right? For example, cash forecasting, right? A lot of, I would say in the past, a lot of years, we were all focused around how a company could receive money quickly from its customers, right? I think I'm now almost 30 years into banking, and for a large number of years, we had used to experience outstation checks, which used to take ages to realize. So that was a huge problem. I think we've come a very long way since then. But cash forecasting continues to be a challenge both for smaller businesses and larger organizations. We are today looking at more and more solutions where we could do deep integration, understand the behavioral models around invoices, around what has been the pattern for realization, and provide a more accurate forecast of cash to our corporate customers. So that has been one. Second area has been with regard to looking, now how do we do that? One of the other areas where which we are investing heavily is around data lake, right? Earlier we used to, each business would look at the data in isolation. And today with an enterprise-wide data lake, we are able to have access to information and therefore are able to provide better insight to our corporate customers. The third area has been, as we move forward into this, has been around financing, right? So when we are doing this cash forecast and when we are able to analyze the cash flow mismatches that are likely to occur for a corporate, so we are able to then recommend what is a better financing solution to overcome and smoothen the cash flows for an organization. So a number of different areas around cash itself. I think the other area, an important one for any organization, has been the aspect around fraud protection, right? A number of different solutions we've implemented as a bank, an enterprise-wide EFRM solution, through which looking at the pattern, the way the customer is accessing his or her own account, the kind of payments that are going through, and understanding the patterns around it, we are able to provide a far more secure platform to our customers, which essentially, I think, enables us to get trust from our customers for using our system. So a number of different areas which we've been working upon.
Yeah, great to hear that. A lot of these principles we have been hearing during the course of some of the other sessions earlier today, and you outlining them to have actually put them in practice is a great story for all of us. I pivot to a different side of a question now with Arvind. Arvind, you've spent a reasonable amount of time, studying and then, operating outside India, primarily in North America. I'm pretty sure all of that international experience is a great asset and a value that you carry. I'm sure it will be very interesting for this audience to hear, that diverse global experience that you bring in. What are some of those key learnings which is of great value to, a bank like Cosmos Bank, you bring in?
See, in my experience in US, I did a lot of projects. My last project or my last assignment was to develop and maintain the IT infrastructure of Bank of America. So doing that was an experience where I was able to actually see how meticulous planning is done, where scripts are written for every minute and the smallest of the operations which we take for granted. And there are fallback mechanisms that run in layers. If something goes wrong, how do we recover the system when we take a downtime, or things like that, where operations are affected globally. There is a switch down for a period of time where we are servicing something, but the operations are affected globally. So how do we write those kind of scripts that flawlessly run, and things do go wrong, but end result is there was no additional downtime, there was no critical failure, and we recovered. Those are technical aspects or operational aspects, but those meticulous planning principles, the mindset of developing those planning procedures in your mind as a professional works everywhere. Now, when I came to Cosmos, my role is primarily as a board of director, governance and policy making. But when I do set a vision for my department, the IT department, and we look at 5 years, 10 years down the line, and we set goals, but there has to be a planning process that has to be meticulous, sustainable, and scalable so that we reach that goal in the stipulated amount of time. And the results that we had first envisioned are actually achieved. So what that experience that I brought from overseas now is helping us to put in place the planning that is required to achieve the goals that we are setting, short term, mid term, and long term. One of the goals that we set out was we wanted to be a very serious and a big player in the UPI market. We set out those goals. We did the business that we wanted to. We did receive challenges because Time Cosmos became very popular very soon and became a very big force. Now, those challenges, how we mitigated them through planning, we are continuing to do so through transaction monitoring, keeping the bank safe. Like Sir said, data privacy is also a key subject, as key it is for business, scalability and growth. So we are managing both the sides of it. So our goals and our dreams and our aspirations are tied into the planning process that we put in and day out, so that the goals are achieved, they are sustainable, they are achievable. And one of the goals is we want to be one of the top 5 players, though we come from the cooperative world, which is a smaller world compared to the national banks and the private banks. Our geography is smaller, but we don't want to be restricted to the cooperative world. We want to compete with the big players. We want to be in the top 5, and that's a very bold aspiration, but we work hard, we plan accordingly, and we set out our goals, which are actually beyond the dreams of a Cosmos world. But we do that through planning, and that's something that I was able to bring on this side of the
Amazing,
journey.
amazing. And I'm very sure that, with the passion and the learning, you and Cosmos Bank will get there. There is a very, very interesting saying that, for today's challenges, you cannot continue to leverage yesterday's tools and expect that, you will continue to be in business tomorrow. Okay. And, with that saying, that is applicable to customer experience as well, right? So with that thought in mind, I would want to pivot into the topic of voice bots, voice analytics, which is becoming key to, the whole customer experience topic in the coming years. I'll now go back to Mr. Rao again. So Mr. Rao, with this background, with the rise of voice banking and smart assistants, how is your bank adapting to these technologies to provide personalized services?
Yeah, the saying goes that change is only the permanent thing. Exactly. Everything else changes. Yeah. I can repeat, change is the only
constant.
Constant. Everything else changes. So with that in context, we know the relevance of the technology in reshaping and redesigning all about customer service, customer experience, user experience, all those things. And as rightly observed by you, what has worked in the past not necessarily may work in the present, and definitely it's not going to work in the future. So how do we take care of this paradigm thought process? And as our colleagues also mentioned, there are 2 types of customers that are coming. One who wants to come for the sake of coming, and the other generation who don't want to come. Aspirations are same, but the approaches are different. So we have to take care of both. And I think again in the previous presentation thought about the generative AI and how it is going to shape the future. And coming to that aspect, artificial intelligence and machine learning are going to be very pivotal in devising ways and means to see how these voice assistants and chatbots are becoming very popular for the banking industry as a whole, and Bank of India is no exception to that. So we have, as again in my first address, we told that we are undergoing through a transformation process, wherein as a first step, we have already introduced chatbot in our internet banking and mobile banking, wherein most of the repetitive tasks that a user wants are executed through those chatbots. But going beyond, we are again integrating the artificial intelligence into those voice notes and chatbots, wherein these tasks will be delivered in a customized way. In the sense, recently, actually, we had a demo from one of the firms where we will be enrolling in future. It asks you the language in which you want to hear that voice note. Means it's not that by default it is telling you either in English or Hindi. It will say what is your preferred language. It can be vernacular, it can be Tamil, it can be Telugu, it can be Bengali.
Exactly.
So that is the level where we have to go if we have to, because again, I think it was commented that customer retention is becoming more challenging than onboarding a new customer, because the demands are increasing day by day and your capabilities you may not build up so fast. And all of our bankers, we listen that customer comes, that bank is giving this facility, bank B is giving this facility, why it is not available with you? I said, with all good intentions that we have, providing that facility will take time. But there is no patience nowadays, right? So now, आज नहीं दे रहे हैं भाई, ठीक है, 2 दिन के बाद हम दूसरे बैंक में जा रहे हैं. So this is the level of expectations, and we talk about market, customer expectation, customer delight. I don't know what is next, what is the next adjective that is going to be created, and all the banking, all the bankers will have to be akin to that sort of a development. So rightly, as you observed, the voice assistants and voice notes and chatbots are going to be key in deciding the customer experience and the retention of the customers going forward.
Yeah, I mean, the good part is that we are seeing some of these technologies actually starting to work. Okay, a lot of it in contact centers. Few of our large customers, in the investment banking space, we are seeing that, in their contact centers for certain journeys or for certain intents, over 80 to 85% of the calls they are able to go back and address, without any human intervention. So I'm very sure that, that technology will absolutely be applicable to our Indian banking context as well. And, I'm pretty sure next time, we would be around in this forum, we will hear quite a few success stories around this particular topic. So, continuing, Mr. Rao, on what you just touched about, right? Customer feedback, right? Gone are those days when nobody would care about customer feedback, right? Today it's a norm, irrespective of whatever business you are in. The guy who comes to deliver something at your home, the first thing he says that, please ensure that you put a feedback, back, right? And the same thing is true for, the banking industry as well. So it would be interesting to hear from you that in your context, okay, how are you looking and leveraging customer feedback, feeding in back into your customer experience journey?
Yeah, feedback is always important, whether it is a professional life as a banker or a personal life. And they say, acceptance of our mistake is the first step towards correction and then development. So feedback, whether it is positive or negative, is very, very important for any service industry, and Bank of India is no exception to that. And one of the ways that we always take care of our customers is a hybrid model. One, we have customers meeting every month in every branch. Typically, that is the 15th of the month, wherein we physically involve customers in analyzing the services of the bank, getting feedback, frank feedback at that, and then how to improve the services. Now, with new age technology, we have a very active mechanism of looking at the feedback given in various social media, like it can be Facebook, it can be Twitter, it can be any Facebook, including on our web pages, mobile banking and internet banking, where we go through the feedback, of course, through the systems, through the logic that is set out, and then see what are all the common pain points that we come across, and use it proactively so that those things are addressed. Nowadays, the common complaint that comes is about downtime. And being dependent on the digital initiatives, all the banks now, downtime is one of the very, very serious incident that happens, and customers immediately go onto the Facebook and put that. So how do you address that particular aspect? And I'm happy to share that Bank of India has recently launched a resiliency operations center, wherein all the activities of the bank are monitored centrally. The performance of a hardware, software, downtime, working of ATMs. So all these things are monitored centrally. As of now, it is a day activity, but going forward, it will be a 24/7. So wherein the customers' grievances about downtime are addressed even before they are escalated. Because we have an online screen wherein you say this service is down at this particular point of time. Now we have the capability to drill down to see which server is down, and within that server, which activity is down or which process is down. So this is one way of addressing the customers' grievances, and this comes from a continuous process of evaluating our services through various mechanisms of customer feedback.
Fantastic. Kind of a command center which will continue to monitor, this over a period of time. I think, you spoke about the importance of customer retention. I'll probably move on to Arvind. For a bank like yours, which has been there, in business for so many years as a cooperative bank, which is evolving, what are your strategies of customer retention in the context of Cosmos Bank? How do you manage that whole journey of customer retention, given you said that within families, multiple generations continue to bank with you? So it is actually a great way of looking at customer retention. So would be interesting to hear what are few of the strategies that you apply.
As a legacy organization, we have this custom in Cosmos that a person who joins as a trainee officer finishes his career 38 years later and retires from Cosmos at a higher post. So that has a DNA of its own as far as the staff is concerned, and the staff is groomed, or they are accustomed to have those interpersonal skills with our client base, to know them to a level which is beyond banking, to have those conversations which are not cross-selling. They're just conversations. But through those conversations, we understand the needs of that client. And based on that, we drive our technology in that direction. We do have that peer pressure that if that bank has certain technology, we have to have it, or we'll lose our customer base. But then again, the customization part, the personalization part that we bring on board is from that interpersonal skills that we have developed, or that feedback that we are getting from our client base, and that helps us drive some certain aspects of our technology which helps retain our client base. A few of the examples are, we are working on a technology where our statements will be interactive, where our clients can look or analyze their own statement in different ways. So instead of being static, it will be dynamic, and that will help the younger generation look at their finances in a way that they won't need external application. The bank is providing them that application. So this is certain example where we have received the feedback through our conversations, continuous conversations that we are implementing, that will help retain them, or they would have moved on. The second example would be when we are talking to our customers, our younger professionals, we understand their need for lending in a particular way. Like we brought on a scheme which was called Hello Doctor, which was geared only, that product was geared only for medical professionals. So we know what kind of funding they need, at what stage they need, and how much they need. So those kind of schemes. Then we brought one for the CAs, we brought one for the engineers. So we know when their working capital is required, in what amount, and what should be the norms for that product. All these feedbacks, these customized products are developed by our interaction with our customer, knowing them for ages, and that helps us retain them by customizing the products and services for them, for their needs. So we do look at the peers, what they are doing, how they are doing, what products they have, but then we look inward also. We look a lot into our customer base. We'll take a very serious note of our existing customer base, and then we focus on acquiring new. Because if we can hold ground on our own territory, then we can acquire more territory. So we take that very seriously. Those are the strategies where we are continuously taking their feedback, talking to them, and our customer also talks back, because they know that we can have our way, we can tell our bank what we want and they can bring it. So sometimes we have products that are geared only for a certain region. It is not even pan-India. Just for that region, Gujarat needs a certain product, we do bring that on for that region. So customization as per the needs, and that need is derived from our grassroots connect with our client base. And that's the biggest strategy that we use.
Yeah, amazing. Segmentation, deep customer relationships. But I'll tell you, I love the one that you started with, right? Happy employees, help you create happiest customers. Okay, so fantastic. I think, we will move on to the last question for today, and which is largely to take a look at challenges when you scale, right? So, Mr. Dalmia, when you think of scaling, right, and scaling in a scenario where you are wanting to offer personalized services across different segments of corporate customers, what do you deal with?
So I think for sure, we're talking about experience, we're talking about segments. I think one of the key is to really build, keeping in mind the needs of a segment, right? And that's how, and then having the right architecture behind it so that you are able to scale it. So when we look at, let's look at a smaller segment of business, right? I think Arvind just described, the doctors and some of the segments. So there are, if you look at the small segment, you can actually, smaller businesses, you can actually break them down into smaller segments where the needs are simple, but then they are very similar to each other, right? For example, an education institution is going to look at, would have pretty similar needs around fee collections, around various things. You can actually, needs are not too difficult, right? There is an opportunity to really, bring them all together, create a package which can be uniformly applied to that particular lines of businesses across. But at the same time, the challenge over there is the volume. I think in the morning we discussed with regard to what UPI is doing around at this point in time, how now we are doing billions of UPI transactions. Last FinTech conference, I remember listening to NPCI, which spoke about the aspiration of doing 1 billion UPI a day.
Yeah.
Right? So the volumes have really exploded. So how do you handle the volumes? You need to build an application which essentially is able to cater to handle those volumes, and then can help you create propositions for the segments that you are catering to. The other spectrum of this is the large corporate, right? Now, a large corporate essentially is large and therefore demands a very customized solution for that corporate, right? So for example, a large oil company I met with was saying that, look, you're doing financing, but I want a different solution. So I cater to both domestic and industrial users. So I want you to read the invoice and then figure it out, who it is meant for, and therefore decide how the financing needs to happen, right? So it can be extremely customer specific.
Exactly.
A large electricity distribution company said that was, look, you get RTGS or NEFT payments. I don't want you to accept these payments and credit my account. I want you to first check my system whether this is the right remittance before you accept it. So the other company said that was, I want you to look at the pattern of the account from which the money is coming in real time and then credit my account. So a large corporate could have a very diverse requirement on their own. Then each one could have a different workflow, different access control needs, different ways in which they want to receive their reports at different points in time and integrate with their ERP system. So each segment has got fairly different challenge. So when we were building our application, we thought first of all, we need to cater to the volume. So we need to have a cloud native kind of an application that can handle the volume, because that's a reality now. And that's the aspiration which NPCI is saying. So it's only going to go up and explode, continue to explode. The other thing is to create different experiences. We tried to create as many parameterizable events as possible, and create an API first microservice kind of an architecture, which allowed us to work with various companies or various segments, and we are able to meet their diverse needs. The third area which we realized, which was common across in the market, was the large number of fintechs with whom we would like to work with to provide rich customer experiences. So we needed to have very strong orchestration capability and obviously data security. So we have an enterprise-wide middleware which we leverage for creating various user journeys. So a number of challenges, and we're trying to, I think we have invested into an application that can be scalable for their needs.
Fantastic. I think, very insightful, last 45 minutes. The only summary that I can draw is that there's that famous saying that great customer experience starts with empathy, okay? And not just with technology. And I think over the last 45 minutes, the stories that you narrated only reinforced that thought process. My sincere thanks to all of you and to your organization for creating a great, India banking story for all of us, and which helps us stand, pretty well in the global banking scenario. Thank you so much.